Hi, everyone. This is Empower Your Students. We know that learning necessarily involves mistakes, false starts, confusion, misconceptions, assumptions that turn out to be incorrect, and saying things that make no sense. Though some teachers establish a classroom culture where students can take risks, many students will still play it safe, remain silent, and avoid discomfort. If we want to help students learn in a deep and lasting and meaningful way, we need to teach them how to be vulnerable. In this exercise, students practice help-seeking behaviors that might feel uncomfortable, but that lead to learning and serve their values. For this activity, students will use case studies on getting help. You can use the ones in this video, but you can also write your own case studies based on commonly occurring struggles in your class. Your students will also need pen and paper for taking notes, and they'll ideally need email access for the last part of the activity when they ask for help. This is an activity I do over the course of a few days because it has a few different parts. For purposes of this video, I'll run through it pretty didactically, but when I do it with my class, it's much more interactive and discussion-based. Okay, now that my anxious disclaimers are out of the way, let's get to the activity. Even though everyone can benefit from asking for help, some students don't ask. What do you think stops students at our school from asking for help? What are some of the barriers that they face? Well, maybe they're embarrassed to ask in front of their friends, or they're afraid of sounding stupid. They think the teacher will think they weren't listening when they actually were. They're worried the teacher will give them a lower grade because it seems like they don't understand the material. Or maybe they just don't think they need help. So let's look at why asking for help might be worthwhile, even if it means having these unpleasant thoughts and feelings. We're going to read a few case studies about people who could benefit from help. So here's the first one. Ryder feels he's trying his hardest in English class. He reads carefully, takes thorough notes, and contributes to every discussion. He very much wants to get an A. When working on writing assignments, Ryder often asks, "Is it okay if?" questions, such as, "Is it okay if all my quotations are in the second paragraph?" Or, "Is it okay if my essay is in an 11-point font?" After his essays are graded, the comments always say that his thesis is too vague and that he needs to support his points with more evidence. Ryder always feels that he does have a specific thesis and does use enough evidence. He's just been assigned another essay which is due in 2 weeks. What goals does this student seem to have? What kinds of help would benefit this student in achieving these goals? And who are some possible sources of help? Here's the next case study. Ayana has always been told she writes beautiful poetry, so she was pretty excited for the poetry unit. Then when she discovered it was going to be about using new poetic devices such as onomatopoeia and repetition, she got annoyed. She feels she already is a good poet. Ayana tends to struggle with essays, which she thinks are much more structured and rule-bound than poetry. She figures she can just coast through the poetry unit and get an easy A-, and she'll put in more work when she has to write another essay. What goals does this student seem to have? What kinds of help would benefit this student in achieving these goals? Who are some possible sources of help? And here's the last one. Sandra has trouble during class discussions. She never feels like she has anything to add, and she ends up staring out the window or whispering to her friends in the class. Sandra has been pulled aside after class several times for her teacher to ask her to please try to participate and to stop distracting her classmates. Sandra is afraid that if she tells her teacher that she just doesn't know what to say in discussions, the teacher will just think she's being even more disrespectful and maybe even lower her grade. What goals does this student seem to have? What kinds of help would benefit this student in achieving these goals? And who are some possible sources of help for her? So now that we've seen how made-up people could benefit from help in achieving their goals, we're going to think about our goals. One kind of goal involves getting something or keeping something you already have. Like in French class, you might want to maintain a test average of 85% or higher. Or you might want to get higher grades than your friends, or keep the respect of your classmates. These kinds of goals might begin, I want to get a good grade on my next French test. I want to maintain my class ranking. I want to have my teacher's respect or my peers' respect. Most people have getting and maintaining goals. I don't think there's anyone in this room who's like, yeah, I want to fail at everything. I hope my friends think I'm worthless and that I disappoint my family. Raise your hand if you want people to think you're stupid. Right, so a lot of us want to be successful, and we want people to like us and respect us and think we're smart and attractive and cool. Our getting and maintaining goals aren't all that interesting because so many of us have similar ones. The other reason we're not going to take much more time on our getting and maintaining goals has to do with our list of barriers to help seeking. Check it out. If someone isn't asking for help because they're afraid the teacher will think they don't understand the material and will lower their grade, their goal is to get a good grade. Someone who doesn't ask for help because they're embarrassed has a goal to maintain their image as someone smart and capable. If we're focused on getting and maintaining, we probably won't ask for help because we think help seeking somehow interferes with these goals. So let's look at a different kind of goal. This kind involves learning more about something or getting better at doing something. For example, if you take French, you might want to learn how to speak French fluently, or at least understand enough French that you can get the basic idea of what your grandmother is telling you on the phone. Or if you take music, you might want to learn how to read musical notation or play your favorite song on the guitar. These kinds of goals might begin, I want to know more about music notation. I want to be able to play my favorite song on the guitar. I want to get better at speaking French. Now notice here, if we're focused on learning and improving goals, we probably will ask for help. If the thing I want most is to improve my French speaking, then sure I'll ask my French teacher for help. Why not? He speaks better than I do, so I can listen to him as an example of how to speak French well. If I speak French to him, I'm practicing my skills and getting his feedback. I still might not want to ask for help. I don't like the idea of taking up his time, and I'm kind of embarrassed that his total attention will be on me and my bad French. But if I truly want to learn to speak better French, then maybe I'm willing to feel that awkwardness and embarrassment and ask for help anyway. So now I'll ask you to write some of your learning and improving goals. You might want to make a list of your classes and then think about what you want to learn more about, or be able to do, or get better at. Write goals you genuinely have for yourself, because if it's someone else's goal for you, then your goal might be to get or maintain that person's approval. And once you've made a list of goals, focus in on one of your learning or improving goals that's really important to you. If this is what you want to accomplish, what kinds of help could benefit you? Generally, when we have a learning or improving goal, it helps us to see examples of what to do, to practice more, and to get feedback. So, what examples of excellence could you look at? What could you do to practice more? What kinds of feedback could you get? And then, who are some people who might be able to give you the kinds of help you listed? It could be the teacher of that subject, but also think about less obvious sources of help. A teacher of another subject, someone who works at our school who isn't a teacher, a peer, a family member, really anyone. And write the names of people who might be able to provide the kinds of help you listed. When I do this activity with my students, I have them write help-seeking emails to people on their lists. I show them my own help-seeking emails where I had learning or improving goals. I try to show at least 3 different emails so students can see how the tone and content change depending on how well I know the person and what I'm asking for, but that the emails are always respectful and appreciative. I read each email to my students and ask, what do you notice? How do you think I felt when I sent this? Why do you think I bothered to send it anyway? I talk about my own feelings of awkwardness and discomfort so they don't think they have to feel comfortable in order to ask for help. And I talk about what my goal was and why that goal was important to me, so they can see that the willingness to feel uncomfortable is part of serving values. I also acknowledge that they might feel uncomfortable sending their emails, that they might be having some of the same thoughts I did, like, what if they don't respond, or what if they think I'm weird, or I'm going to look like an idiot, or just, I hate this. I have them take a moment to really listen to the thoughts they're having. Then I ask, Can you have these thoughts and feelings and still send the email? And why would you want to send the email anyway, even with these thoughts and feelings? Now, if your students don't have email, they can ask for help in person, on the phone, via text message, and report their conversations to you. Email is nice because the students can forward you their emails, and then you can coach them on even more effective ways to ask for help. You can also have them pull up their emails in class and have a discussion about their experiences, thoughts and feelings they had, how it felt to receive or not to receive a response, what the response was, and what next steps they're planning. So I hope you enjoyed the help-seeking activity and that you'll try some piece of it with your students. If you're looking for more ways to empower your students to make school meaningful, you can visit our website at bit.ly/empoweryourstudents.